Hi everyone, Frankie here from the Psych Professionals. Welcome from sunny Melbourne. I never thought I'd say those words. It's actually really freezing here today. However, it is a lot nicer than Brisbane weather at the moment, I hear. So welcome to live video number 6. As I said, from Melbourne today. I am from Melbourne myself, so I'm here visiting some friends, and it's been really nice catching up. I only just barely managed to escape Brisbane yesterday with all of the flooding and everything, so I hope you guys are staying dry. Both of our practices have been impacted, just in terms of psychologists being cut off and trapped on the roads and that sort of thing from floodwaters. So both practices were closed yesterday, and we haven't been operating as normal today. I think Capalaba was going ahead fine, but Logan Home, unfortunately, not too much is happening there today. So we anticipate we'll be back as usual on Monday. But I wanted to come to you today because I was having a think about the last 2 videos. So obviously the one from me on self-care yesterday, very briefly, and the one from Gerda on asking and accepting help. And I guess it made me think about what it is that gets in the way of those 2 things, both self-care and asking for help. And I think a big part of it is guilt. It's certainly something that I struggle with myself and that a lot of my clients struggle with. So I'm coming to you today to talk a bit about guilt. So basically, guilt occurs when you are, I guess, betraying your own rules for ethical behaviour. These rules, they can come from your upbringing, from society's influences, from religion, just your temperament, all sorts of places. But sometimes these standards that we set for ourselves can be unrealistically high. And it's really important when we're feeling guilty to determine whether it's healthy guilt and based on rational kind of ideas. And healthy guilt is important because it helps us not make the same mistakes again and again. It helps us feel remorse when we are in the wrong, and that's okay. But there's also guilt that's sometimes out of proportion to the behaviour or decision that we made, or words that we said, or that sort of thing. And this kind of out of proportion guilt has really negative impacts on, well, self-esteem, on our mood. It can sometimes lead to depression if it's severe enough. And it also makes us feel pretty anxious. So it's really important to tackle, actually, so that you're not plagued with guilt on a day-to-day basis for things that really aren't that severe. So I've got 4 tips for combating guilt today. They're just little ones, but I think they do make a difference. The number one thing that I try and do, and I tell my clients to do as well, is to ask yourself what you'd say to a friend, or maybe your child, if they were experiencing the same guilt for the same reason. The reason for this is that we're often a whole lot kinder to our friends, a whole lot kinder to the people that we love than we are to ourselves. But in reality, we deserve the same kind of respect and the same kind of appearance to standards and that sort of thing. So ask yourself, would I be beating my child up, or, well, mentally, or beating someone else up over a small mistake? And if not, why am I beating myself up for this? The second thing is to understand that, and this is pretty much always the case, that you did what you felt was best at the time. And that's all anyone can really ask of you. And I know that mostly that's what we try and do. Sometimes, when you have extra information that you didn't have before, you realize that you would have made a different decision, but you did what was best at the time, and I think that's always okay. The third thing is to understand the difference between blame and responsibility. So it's really not okay to be blaming yourself tirelessly for things that really are fairly minor. Blame implies intent. So it implies that you intended to hurt someone, or you intended to make the mistake, or you intended to stuff up, or whatever it might be. And that's just usually not the case. So blame, not so good. Responsibility, though, is fine, because responsibility is you saying, yeah, I accept the negative consequences of, whatever my actions were. but I'm not going to beat myself up about it. So yeah, really pull yourself up. Are you blaming yourself, or are you taking responsibility? If it's responsibility, that's okay. Blame, not so much. And the fourth and final thing is to understand and then accept your right to take care of your own interests. That's okay. You're important. You're allowed to pursue your own goals, to say no when you can't meet other demands from other people, all of that sort of thing. And so really understanding that and accepting it helps alleviate that guilt. If you're just acting in your own best interest, well, hey, someone's got to. So that's my 4 tips today for dealing with guilt. I hope you've taken something from it, even if it's something small. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will come to you next week on Monday, back in Brizzy. Hopefully we're a little drier there in Brisbane by Monday. And yeah, have a wonderful weekend. Bye guys.